Show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Whatever is going on in your life, BetterHelp could be a great option for you. BetterHelp is convenient, flexible, affordable therapy that's custom built for you. And best of all, it's 100% online, so you don't have to leave the comfort of your home. And finding the right person is just as easy. Just fill out a short questionnaire and it'll match you with a licensed therapist. And you can switch therapists at any time for any reason at no additional charge. Look, we all have stuff we're carrying around. And finding someone that you can just talk to, a professional to just talk through it, it really, truly helps. If you want to live a more empowered life, therapy can get you there. Visit betterhelp.com/dogs, DAWGS, today for 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/dogs.
Welcome to the Dogs Podcast with your hosts, Blake Reneker, Justin Charles, John Nye, and Josh All.
What's up, Browns fans? Welcome back to a special live edition of the Dogs Podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. If you want to get your intro on the show, head to thedogspodcast.com. Tap leave voicemail on the drop-down menu. No, John, you had a last-minute family thing pop up. We're hoping to get him in here for the after hours tonight. So if you missed John, head to jointhedogs.com, become an official Dog Pack member on the Patreon page. Shaking things up a little bit today. Doing the plug for the Patreon first on a whim. We're live, so I'm just going off the cuff here. So yeah, if you missed John, join the Dog Pack. You get an extra episode every week. You get access to the private Discord. You'll hopefully get to see John tonight. So it's just a good time for everybody. A lot of Browns fans from all over the world. You get to be Dog Pack member of the month every month. We'll send you a poster eventually. You get a free t-shirt, usually on time. And we got some pretty cool t-shirts now too. So that's always fun. Yes. We got the one Josh is wearing. We got another one that says Dog Check, which I didn't even know until recently. And that one looks super cool.
Yep. I'm actually working on a Joe Thomas Hall of Fame shirt right now. I wanted to have it done before this, but I just not there yet.
So, if you're interested in the merch, it's thedogspodcast.com/shop. So we got some cool stuff on there. But anyways, if you want to hang out with us over the off season, you want to access the private Discord, you want an extra episode every week, jointhedogs.com, become an official Dog Pack member on the Patreon page. Today, we're going to go ahead and talk about the Super Bowl. A lot to get into. You had the call at the end of the game. It was a great game up until that point. We're going to talk everything from commercials to halftime show. We want to get your input. We're going to talk about Browns free agents currently on the team, who they should re-sign, who they should let go. And then there's an ESPN article ranking the teams in certain tiers. We're going to jump into that at the end. So a lot of good stuff to get to today. We're going to try to get as much as we can in an hour. So, we're going to go fast. Be active in the comment section. We appreciate you guys all being here. Before we jump into the episode, obviously, if you're watching on YouTube right now, make sure you like and subscribe. And the biggest thing right now is make sure you tap the notification bell so you always know when we put a new episode or when we're going live throughout the offseason. We're going to try to go live more often. And in order to get that notification, you need to have the bell tapped. So that'll help you find us easier and more frequently. We will hopefully be on your homepage on YouTube. You can also find us on Apple, Spotify, and Google if you prefer to just listen to the show. So, sadly, football season is officially over. We got somebody said they dig the shirt, Justin. It's Andrew Jackson.
He's got the same shirt.
Football season, bittersweet. We always love the Super Bowl. I always get a bunch of good food and stuff like that. But then now football season's done. So that's sad.
Yeah.
But I think this year we were treated to a good game. It looked early like the Eagles were going to maybe run away with it, but then the Chiefs don't let anybody run away with anything. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, I think maybe the most impressive thing about him to me is his ability to play through pain. A high ankle sprain keeps people out sometimes for a month
or more. Yeah,
yes.
It's a long time injury for sure.
It was crazy, and I saw a stat in the second half. He only had one incomplete pass, and it was a throwaway, I'm pretty sure. That's like Baker Mayfield against Ohio State a couple years ago in the second half. I mean, during the Super Bowl against, I think Philly was the first or second ranked defense in the league.
For sure.
Yeah, they had been
defense was crazy.
Shutting people down.
Yep. The Chiefs didn't give up a sack.
Yeah,
they had a quarterback who had a high ankle sprain who could, limping around. They still didn't give up a sack.
When he went down with that ankle injury, it looked
game over.
It did look like game over. I thought, oh man, this one ended early. Like he's going to try to come. I figured he would try to come back and wouldn't be able to manage it.
Correct. Yeah.
Man, kudos to Patrick Mahomes. I tell you what,
That
kid is tough.
That was a defense too that had, I want to say, the most sacks of all time, and for them to not allow a sack, and that guy, I mean, he's just solidifying his legacy. I mean, 2 and 4 years, make it to a third one.
So I guess I saw that if he retired today, is he a Hall of Famer?
So his numbers, since he's only been in the league a few years, aren't that great. I think he's at like 24,000 yards or something like that career-wise. So when you stack it against like
the all-timers,
Rodgers, and Drew Brees, there's a huge gap. But just for what he's done in a short amount of time, I mean, it looks good. His chances are looking good.
I think you have to have. I think part of the Hall of Fame is longevity, a little bit. So I don't know if he retired today, if I could put him in, and if I did, it wouldn't be first ballot. But I mean, he's hosted 5 straight AFC Championship games. He's been to 3 Super Bowls. He's been to Super Bowls 60% of the years he's been in the league. And he's won 40% of the years he's been in the league. So it's pretty incredible. I saw this was for the after hours, but I feel like we can pull it up now. Are the Chiefs? Somebody asked, are they the next dynasty in the NFL?
I would say they are the current dynasty.
Yes.
In the end, not the next. They're
here
now. Yeah.
I agree. I think you could already consider them a dynasty. They've hosted 5 straight AFC championships and been to 3 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
How many years is a dynasty? What's the cutoff? Is it 5? Is it 10 years? I mean, how long do you have to do it to be considered a dynasty?
I mean, I feel like if you can get 2, and then, in a few years, like 2 out of 3, 2 out of 4, you're there. You're probably not going to make it every year. Eventually some, breaks are going to happen, but for 2 out of 4, that's dynasty.
Yeah,
you're on your way.
And the one they lost, I'm not going to take anything away from the Bucs, but the Chiefs had both their starting tackles were hurt against a team that has a great defensive line.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not saying the Chiefs win. The Bucs were very good that year, but I don't know if it wouldn't have been a blowout, most likely. Obviously, if we're going to talk Super Bowl, I think we should just jump to the end of the game real quick.
Okay.
And get into, what was basically the story, coming out of that game. What did you guys think of the holding call that basically allowed the Chiefs to run the clock down to nothing to kick the field goal?
There was a call earlier in the game, and I don't remember exactly when or who the players involved were, but there was a pass interference that looked like it should have been called, and it wasn't. And I remember sitting there with people I was watching the game with, and we were like, they usually call less than that. I can't believe they didn't call that right there.
Okay.
And then when they made the call at the end of the game, it was like, wait. That got called? Because the one before was like, it was like blatant. I remember that they showed a replay and it was a missed call or whatever.
Right.
But it was just interesting.
It's kind of crazy because I feel like they called the game a certain way, like the whole game. Like I felt like the players almost got accustomed to what they could get away with. Like I want to say it was Bradbury was comfortable. He felt like he could get away with that. I mean, you wouldn't just pull a guy's jersey that late in the game, that moment. So I just felt like for them to throw it at that point in the game, and who knows, Patrick Mahomes, they might score a touchdown or kick a field goal and they still have to come down and tie the game up or score. So it just kind of, just for it to end like that, I guess, I wanted to see Jalen Hurts too in that moment, just to see if he had it.
I think technically it was a hold.
For sure.
And even Bradbury came out and said it was a hold. I just think it didn't affect his route. Because the hold wasn't the hand on the back. Greg Olsen kept talking about that hand on the back, and then I think the rules expert said no, it was before that. It was when he made his break, he tugged on his jersey.
Right, when he kind of turned back.
Yes, but the play went on for like 6 more seconds. And I actually thought Mahomes had him open. He kind of threw it away. I thought he could have.
Yeah, I didn't think he wasn't going to catch the ball regardless.
Yeah, and I just didn't think it affected the play. And I just think in that moment, it just, why? Don't, you know what I mean? Like, why? It was so insignificant. It wasn't blatant. It was so early in the route. Like, let the players decide the game. So in theory, they technically, I think, got the call right. I just think you're supposed to be able to use judgment as an official and discretion. And to me, that no, we're not here to watch you.
No, with the scrutiny that the officiating has been under this entire season, the last couple years, and like we've been hitting on it on this show a lot about how bad the officiating is. And then for that to happen, and one of my first reactions was like 2 years in a row. Because last year's Super Bowl, if you remember, I forget exactly what the situations were, but there were like 2 calls that went in the Rams' favor that pretty much sealed the game.
Pass interference.
Yeah. And they were kind of the same thing. Like they hadn't been calling that kind of thing the whole game. Then right at the end, they get called. And it's like, why don't you let them play now? Like this is where it matters the most. The refs should remove themselves as much as possible in these situations.
Kind of piggybacking off this then, did you guys see Juju?
Yeah.
That he is such a bitch boy.
Yes, he is.
He is
TikTok boy.
Yes, he is. I had to call him a bitch boy because I can't call him another thing because we're live and I'm trying to keep it as PG-13 here as possible. I mean, Juju, you did nothing this year.
No,
you were irrelevant. Even in this game, you had like a stretch where you had a few catches. But I saw CJ Gardner-Johnson said, I had 6 picks this year. You only had 3 touchdowns. Like, why? You're the guy who's going to, if Kelsey or Mahomes or even Kadarius Toney came out, was kind of chirping a little bit. Okay, Juju, you're insignificant. You had to take a 1-year restructured deal to even be on the team. This team is starving for a receiver, and you did nothing this year. You've been nothing since Antonio Brown left.
Exactly. And if you can't turn your career around with Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback and an Andy Reid offense, like where they don't have a number 1 receiver,
right,
you're done. Like you have no career ahead of you other than a 2 or 3 on a team. That's it.
Yes. He's the classic, like, I'm going to take my ball and go home if I lose. But then if somebody else, if I'm like the 6th player on the bench and the star player scored 50 and we win, I'm going to be like behind him chirping at you, talking about how awesome we are. I mean, he's such a tool. I loved all the people clapping back at him. It was super funny.
I loved AJ Brown's response was awesome.
Calling him TikTok boy. I don't know if you saw even Andy Reid. It like called him out in practice one day. He was like, fast. He's like, you move faster than your TikToks. I mean, imagine awesome. You're a grown man.
Right. Yeah.
And well, listen, we're in the content creation space technically, but imagine being a grown man and you play in the NFL and your head coach has to say something like, you move faster in your TikToks. That's like something I'm going to tell my daughter when she's 8.
When you saw her clean her room.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine being that lame of a person.
Oh, man.
It's got to be frustrating as all get out to coach that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's nothing but a headache. He doesn't produce on the field. He's got all the talent in the world, but he cannot use it.
Nah, like I don't like really follow him or anything, but like it kind of felt like he quieted down a little bit, like once he got in Kansas City. But I don't know that for sure.
Yeah,
you know
I guess
I mean?
I don't know.
I really don't know. But I think after that Cincinnati game, he toned it down a little bit when he was just dancing on the logo
and then just getting blasted over and over and over again. But yeah, so to get back to the call, I guess we had to take a couple minutes to make fun of Juju. Because of his Steelers roots. But no, I think somebody in the comment section, they said, the best way it was ticky-tacky.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
In that situation, I don't want a ticky-tacky call made. Like I want the game to be decided. I do think Jalen Hurts showed like that he's not a fluke. I mean, I'm not saying I don't know if anybody was considering a fluke season on him, but I guess he kind of wanted to see how he's going to do in this stage.
Mm-hmm.
You could argue he outplayed Mahomes for a lot of it. I mean, Mahomes' numbers aren't gaudy, but part of that is he was not on the field. I think I saw the Chiefs only ran 20 plays in the first half.
Yeah, there was that one stretch where they had the ball for, 7.5 minutes or something?
Yeah, crazy. So the Eagles in the first half really executed the game plan perfectly. But to me, I know at one point I was watching and I said, I feel like the Eagles are killing them and it was a 3-point game.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this doesn't bode well for the Eagles going into the second half.
Right.
They've completely dominated time of possession. They've played a near perfect game, and they're only winning by 3 points. But no, Jalen Hurts had 304 yards. He had a touchdown. His biggest problem was that
one fumble.
And it almost looked like he was just
he was trying to switch to the other hand. He just dropped it.
But I think he's going to be a problem. He threw the ball very well.
Very well.
He looks like he's here to stay as a threat in the NFL. Yep. I mean, leading his team.
He has 2 scary good receivers.
Yeah, and he's only going to get better. I mean, as far as passing, he's already very, very good.
Yeah.
But he's just going to get better. And his rushing, he doesn't need to get any better than that. I mean, he's got that on lockdown.
Yeah.
But
we got a guy in the comments. He's an Eagle, and he says he's ticked at as a fan of the Eagles, and even more ticked as a fan of the game that they call that penalty. As from a Browns fan to an Eagles fan,
I feel you.
We feel your
pain.
100%. I feel like that's the kind of call that goes against the Browns all the time.
Yeah.
Or we don't get that call. If that was on the other, if we were playing the Eagles in the Super Bowl, that would have gotten called in a million bajillion years.
Right.
We never get that call. The closest thing to getting that call was Jacoby getting the roughing the passer this year. And I think that's just because
they felt bad for us.
Nobody wanted to see Baker win that game. Nobody wanted to deal with that post game press conference.
Dog on the loose. He's off the chain.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
So we talked about this last year, and we have an Eagles fan here listening, so hopefully we don't make him mad. We talked about this with the Bengals, and now the team that loses the Super Bowl, the quarterback that loses their Super Bowl debut, I think it was when we talked about it last year, it was almost like the last 16 or something like that, never make it back. That's now the Eagles / Jalen Hurts, do we see them in a Super Bowl again?
I'm going to say this about Philly, and we've said it about San Francisco. They just feel like a different type of team. Like, so Cincinnati last year, it was like, well, I mean, are they going to make it back? Their offensive line is still not very good. Right. Their defense, I mean, not terrible, but still a little bit, susceptible, whatever that word is.
Susceptible?
Suspect. But anyway, the Eagles have the elite defense. They've got the elite O-line. They've got, they can ramp up that backfield even more this offseason. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what they do.
The biggest concern I had, and I hadn't paid much attention to it heading into like the NFC Championship game, it was heading into the Super Bowl. When you started looking at the Eagles schedule, and again, it's the NFL and you play who's there and everybody's a pro team, but they had a very favorable schedule this year. And then they took advantage. They went 14-3, but it's almost like the team they play, the team they finally played a good quarterback and like a really good offensive coach. The defense got exposed, so they were this great defense all year. But I saw a stat where if you combined all the quarterbacks they played this year, like their stats in terms of efficiency and completion percentage and all this stuff, on average, the Eagles played the 24th best ranked quarterback this year. I mean, that's like playing like all season you played against last year's Baker Mayfield or close to it. You know what I mean? And so it's not hard to be a very good defense against that. Now I think Jalen Hurts is the real deal. I think they have real weapons, and I'd like to think the defense is good, but it's just I don't want to say they got exposed, but I mean Patrick Mahomes had 1 incompletion in the second half. So, and they got outscored 24-11. As soon as Mahomes was able to be on the field, they couldn't get him off.
And they ran the ball a lot better against the Eagles than I thought they would be able to.
Yes, I did not think I did a little bit of gambling, and I did not place any.
No, I took all the unders on like Pacheco and all those guys.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
I thought they were going to shut them down. And it was almost like they could stop the run all year because they were playing the 24th ranked quarterback on average. Sure. They didn't have to worry about the pass game. And they had this great D line.
And they were usually up.
Yes.
So teams were less likely to run.
I mean, they got to figure out their coaching too. They just lost both their coordinators. No, I think that's, just the next opportunity for another guy to come up.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they're the real deal. I think Jalen Hurts is the real deal.
And I do think if you look at the NFC, who their biggest competition is going to be, in my opinion, the 49ers probably.
Fair.
And I don't know what they're going to do at quarterback. If they bring Brock Purdy back and he wasn't just like a flash in the pan kind of thing, and their defense is still great and they can actually stay healthy, then I think the 49ers are a real threat in the NFC. But the Rams who knows what the Rams are going to be. So I think they're positioned well. What's his face said he thinks they're going to have a hangover next year, but within the next 2 years they'll be back. I could see that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what they're looking at. Right now they're not paying Jalen Hurts anything. If he keeps playing well and he wins an MVP, you're going to have to pay him a lot of money. And then I don't know what that does in terms, because you're also not paying Devontae Smith anything right now.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't know what that does in terms of your weapons and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens. They have a good GM. I think it's his name's Howie Roseman or something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
So, and he's pretty good, obviously. So they'll figure it out. But it was an entertaining Super Bowl. I enjoyed it. I want to get to. So we've talked a lot about the game now. So some of the fun stuff with the Super Bowl. What did you get commercial wise? I feel like this year was ass.
Yeah. I knew we were going to talk about commercials, and I'm like, which one do I want to say? If somebody asked me what was your favorite, I don't know.
I don't have one, bro.
I don't have one. They were bad.
No, I think it was easy to pick a favorite because they were all so bad, except for these two.
Okay.
The Breaking Bad one.
I figured you were going to say that.
That one was excellent. I was disappointed that they released it early. I figured if they released it early, then in the Super Bowl, there's going to be like an extended version of it. Okay. And there wasn't one. So that was a little disappointing, but it's still great. And then I think it was the premature electrocution one.
Oh,
that one was pretty excellent. Other than that, I don't even remember. It was terrible.
I don't either.
What's your guys' favorite Super Bowl commercial of all time?
Oh man.
Wow. Jesus. Are you serious?
I don't know.
When I was a kid, it was always like the Budweiser, like with the frogs, just because I don't know. I always thought that was super.
The year they did a whole bunch of the Bud Nights, that was actually kind of cool. I thought that some of those were kind of funny.
Yeah.
So this might, my favorite commercial is, I thought it was just like so ridiculous. I couldn't believe it. Put it on TV that I laughed, but it wasn't meant to be funny.
Oh no.
This was the year the Patriots won it because the Seahawks didn't give it to Marshawn.
Yeah.
And I think it was like a nationwide commercial or maybe even an all-state commercial, but it's this kid and he's like, I could have been an astronaut. I could have been the president. I could have been a race car driver. And it's like showing this kid doing all these things. And then it pans to him and he's sitting in front of a bathtub that's overflowing and he goes, but I can't because I drowned in this bathtub. And it was so like morbid and out of left field that I just was like, I couldn't believe what I was watching. I was like, this is the most morbid thing.
So you almost had to laugh like out of how uncomfortable you were.
Yes,
like, oh,
it was.
no.
I'm uncomfortable.
I was like, I can't believe this is a commercial right now. And I'm not the only one who had that reaction. I think if you look it up on YouTube, everybody's just like, what the hell is going on here? That's like the most, I guess, I'll never let my kid drown in the bathtub now because I
because of that one Super Bowl commercial.
Yes.
Do you remember that year they did those? I think it was Tide.
Yeah.
And it was like, like they would do the whole commercial in the end. It was like, oh no, this is a Tide commercial or something like that. It was like, but they were actually funny, not like the Blue Moon commercial this year where it was like Coors Light, Miller Lite, battling out the whole commercial, and then at the end it's like, oh no, this is a Blue Moon.
I don't even
if I'm Blue Moon,
I don't even recall this commercial.
I remember it was terrible.
It was really stupid. Yeah, Devontae says Tubi fooled everybody.
That's what I wanted to bring up.
I was sitting there because my girlfriend's grandma was like, hey, something happened to the TV.
Yeah.
So I could tell that it was not the game.
I knew
because it wasn't in the same like picture quality.
Yeah,
but it was good.
It was good.
What did you guys? So I guess. What did you guys think of the halftime show? We talked about this a little bit.
Yeah.
Puppy Monkey Baby was so effing weird. Yes. Thank you, Andrew Jackson. It was. Do you guys remember?
Was that the Doritos one or whatever?
Mountain Dew.
Okay. Yeah, I do remember that.
What happened to these brands making good commercials? Like Mountain Dew, Doritos, Bud Light, Budweiser.
They're out.
And then it's like all of a sudden they stopped trying to be, I don't know, it's because you can't be funny anymore.
Yeah, you got to be so careful.
So the problem is like you can't. Everybody's probably afraid to offend.
Like Bud Light's commercial this year was the hold music. You remember?
No.
I forget the actor's name, but his girlfriend's on hold and she's playing the music on her speaker.
So
he brings
Miles
her Bud
Teller.
Light. Yeah, and so they're like dancing around. I'm like,
I remember that. I thought that was solid.
But it wasn't like a. Yeah. But like, come on, be a little more out there.
Edgy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, it was lame. It sucked. It was lame.
I saw something really awful. If we're gonna go down awful, they had the one like Jesus commercial, and somebody tweeted, they're like, I didn't know Jesus had millions like that to pay for that. I was like, Jesus.
So I've seen that.
Uncomfortable.
But it was paid for by a nonprofit. It wasn't. It's not like Jesus was like, how much for a 30-second ad? Okay, no, it was paid. Check. It wasn't even paid for by a church or anything. It was. It clearly said a nonprofit. So I bet getting mad at Goodwill for making a commercial. But I also thought the commercial was stupid.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. I don't know. I was like,
this is dumb.
Yeah.
Like, just please make me laugh.
Please, God, make me laugh.
Yeah. Could you nonprofit make me laugh? Let's say, so the halftime show.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm getting soft in my old age. Maybe it's because my wife was pregnant within the last year. The fact that she was pregnant and danced on a platform 300 feet in the air for 13 straight minutes, like, I was impressed. She could have not even sang and just been like up there walking in circles, and I'd have been like, wait, she's pregnant? Good job. Because it's not, I watch pregnant people not be able to like really stand up or like get out of their seat. So
my wife.
Yeah. So, I was like, that's impressive. In terms of, I've heard some people talk about it was like boring or whatever, and they didn't bring out any guests. I'm like, this is Rhianna.
I feel that.
Rhianna doesn't need guest stars. She's a billionaire. Like,
I just thought it was toned down, and I get why it was. I'm not saying like, oh, she should have, jumped off the platform. I just like leading up to it. I was like, man, she's got a lot of good songs, and everything was good. It was super. She probably left out a bunch of music.
I couldn't believe they started with the song they started with. I was like, they're gonna have to go. She's gonna have to go back in the catalog to like really draw some people in to be like, nope. She just came out straight with "Better Have My Money."
Yeah,
and I was like,
yes,
oh,
I'm here.
Okay,
I'm here for it.
But no, and maybe I just have. I wouldn't say I'm like a Rihanna super fan, but I think she's like. When I heard she was doing the Super Bowl, I was like, excited. Yeah. Thank God, this is way better than like the Rolling Stones.
Right. Yeah.
So I was excited for it. I thought she did a good job. Did you see she changed her set 39 times?
Jesus.
I was waiting for Ye to come out. I was like, if Kanye comes out, people are going to lose their minds. It would have been awesome.
Or Drake. I thought Drake might come out. Or Jay-Z. Like, Jay-Z was at the game. My wife's like, Jay-Z's about to come out and perform. And I'm like,
my wife told me that Jay-Z's very anti-performing for the Super Bowl. Like, he won't do it.
I mean, I'd be all about that. I think like Jay-Z, Drake.
Does he even rap anymore? Does Jay-Z even rap anymore?
I mean, I'm pretty sure he probably still puts out like CDs and stuff, but like
CDs
or like music. I don't know. Music.
I think that performing for the
CDs.
Now I don't know what the hell they're called now.
Justin 60.
That's what they had. That's what they had when I was used to listen to music, not on my phone. CD stuff.
Oh man. Did you guys know that the people who perform at the halftime, they don't get paid?
That's crazy.
Well, I mean, when you've got that many millions, and I mean, how many people watch the Super Bowl?
I saw more people tuned in for the halftime show than for the game. I think Rihanna had 100. It was either 113 or 118 million people watching halftime.
That's a lot.
I mean, you can't perform for that many people at a concert. So I'm just saying, like, that's a pretty good exposure.
I completely agree. Just once, I'd love to watch. Obviously, it's the Super Bowl, and they're trying to appeal to 118 million people, so they're not going to put on, like, my favorite indie band. But just once, I'd like to see them put on somebody who's, like, actually good live. Like, I don't want to.
It was like Tom Petty a few years ago, but then, you know.
Yeah, I like Tom Petty, but sometimes they put up these artists, I'm like, these guys are just so bad. And then I go watch a concert with, like, 500 people. I'm like, these guys would be so much better live at a big venue, but it'll never happen.
Yeah, and the problem is, like, you have such a limited time. Mm-hmm. You got to set everything up quick. You perform quick.
Yeah.
I mean, then you're up and it's over.
So I know almost everybody lip syncs the Super Bowl. And a lot of times the instruments aren't even plugged in.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember when Red Hot Chili Peppers did the Super Bowl halftime show. a lot of their fans were like coming at them on social media because they noted none of their guitars were even plugged into amps.
Just running around, just swinging around.
And the lead singer, Anthony Kiedis, was just like, guys, we have 2 minutes to set up. There's certain concessions you have to make to do this. And we were just happy to be able to do it.
Right.
There's not enough. We don't get to do, a sound check. We don't get to, it's just about the performance. Like, you kind of have to take it with what it is. We have to get up there, do a performance, and be done in 20 minutes. It's crazy.
It is crazy.
So, but no, I enjoyed the halftime show. Chris Stapleton killed the national anthem.
Was amazing.
Excellent.
So I saw some people took the under. So you could bet all kinds of props for the Super Bowl. And the under was like 2 minutes and 10 seconds or something like that. And it clocked in at like 209.9 or something like that.
Oh geez.
So
you're in too deep.
The people who took the over missed out by like 100th of a second or something like that. That's betting for you, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
I have lost so many bets, by the way.
I think that's the point. Bro. I think that's why they give you all the super bets. Boosts and the free opt-ins and
now here's the thing.
Parlays.
So and my wife's like, you're going to become a gambling addict, blah, blah. Here's the thing is I'm still up in terms of money I've won since it's become legal in Ohio. I put $5 on one site, $5 on another, got all my free bets, won some bets, and then I've just been using that money ever since. So bank account's still the same. Mm-hmm. But man, I've lost so many bets where I'll do parlays and I got like 6.
Yep.
And the 5th one misses because the team was blowing them out. So my guy didn't play the 4th quarter.
Yeah.
Or I had a guy who I took the over on points at 20. He had 19 in the 2nd quarter and didn't score the rest of the game.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's great.
So, but make sure you gamble responsibly.
I was going to say, Devontae just commented, said that he thinks Bruno Mars would be an energetic performance.
Yep.
He played a few years back.
He's done it more than once, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. And,
okay.
Well, he did it like with some other
Beyonce.
people, I think, right?
Beyonce.
Yeah. And then he did it as his own show.
Yeah.
I thought his own, when he did his own, like he was good. I thought he was very entertaining and
got a lot of good songs.
Yeah. He's very good. Bruno Mars was very good for the halftime show. Beyonce was not very good.
No.
I might make a lot of people mad here, but I just think she's like
also my wife.
I think she's insanely overrated.
Uh-oh.
I'm not a Beyonce fan.
If we circle back to the game for just a second, what do you guys think about the playing surface?
I'm glad you brought this.
All right.
Leave it to the NFL to like be experimenting with new grass.
Is that what it was?
It was like a brand new kind of grass.
Okay,
what the hell are
grass.
you doing?
And Arizona already struggles. Like they should have known because that's always like an issue with their like they have that roll in grass.
I mean, kickers. I mean, the kicker I thought was going to break his ankle. They'd show replays and you could just see the grass giving away on the. So even changing your cleats wasn't going to matter.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. When they zoomed in on the kicker doing that kickoff, it's like, oh man, his whole ankle
just leave it to the NFL to what are you doing? I mean, this is the same league that had the Hall of Fame game canceled a couple of years ago because they painted the field with the wrong paint.
Never in my life I would believe that. But then I was like, I'm not shocked.
They painted the field with the wrong paint.
Yep.
That is like this is a billion hundreds of billions of dollars kind of organization. It's like unbelievable.
It impacted the game a lot.
Yes.
A lot of guys were slipping, sliding out there, falling down, couldn't get their footing. It was kind of bad to watch. Like this is the Super Bowl product, and this is what we get.
Yep.
Yeah.
You make them play in a warm weather city or in a dome because you don't want to deal with the elements, and then you put them on
Yeah, exactly.
Experimental grass. You know what I mean?
You know what sucks is like, what if you're the scientist that like developed that grass, and then like you like just get home from work and you're like, turn on the Dogs podcast, and you're just talking shit.
You went on the Shark
grass.
Tank to pitch your new grass, and then they're like, "Cool, let's see how it does in the Super Bowl."
Yeah, here's your chance.
Here's the whole world's watching. 113 million people.
Yeah, I mean, like, could you have waited until like maybe opening day next year?
Like, why would you make the USFL try it?
That's a good point.
You know what I mean?
Try one of these like developmental leagues.
Yeah, make the XFL try it. I think doesn't the XFL have some kind of deal with the NFL or something?
Or we could try it in high school or college or why the Super Bowl?
Yes.
You're right. There's so many other places to test this out.
That'd be like baseball. All of a sudden, hey, for the World Series this year, we're going to use electronic umps. We haven't used them all year. We don't really know how well they're going to work.
But we spent $800,000 on
Yep.
it.
So here you
There
go.
it is. We're sticking to it.
You know what I mean? Like, wait, what? Who okays that? I just think Roger Goodell. I think I hate him.
Not an expert on grass.
No.
He sucks at everything. What did you guys think about him? Like giving the player a huge hug and telling him he doesn't care how he sacks the quarterback.
That's a lie.
Yeah.
It's a lie, Roger. You know that's not true.
What quarterback?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, that was so stupid. I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to talk about that and I forgot. What are we doing?
I don't know. It was horrible. Just horrible.
But anything else we need to talk about in the game? All right. We're going to take a quick 2-minute break. Don't leave. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about some Brown stuff. So we appreciate you guys being here. We'll see you guys in 2 minutes.
This episode is brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. The action never ends at DraftKings Sportsbook, especially this summer. With tons of ways to bet on all your favorite sports, you can fuel your fandom and feel the heat of the season like never before. Plus, right now, DraftKings Sportsbook is giving new customers a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's right. Make your first bet up to $1,000, and if it doesn't win, you'll get another shot to cash in. You can throw down on all the major action for baseball, golf, MMA, and more. Plus, with same-game parlays, spreads, money lines, over-unders, and props, your betting options feel endless. Best of all, DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. You can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use promo code TPPN. Make your first deposit and get a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's promo code TPPN only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. This episode is brought to you by Omaha Steaks. Hail to the Chief of Steaks. Enjoy presidential savings on Omaha Steaks favorites, including tender steaks, ocean fresh seafood, air-chilled chicken, and more during their President's Day sale. Go to omahasteaks.com and use promo code DAWGS, DAWGS, when you check out and get $30 off your order. That's $30 off an endless variety of delicious gourmet foods, from perfectly aged tender steaks to juicy burgers, decadent desserts, and classic comfort meals. Every bite is backed by their 100% satisfaction guarantee. Visit omahasteaks.com right now. Enter code DAWGS at checkout. Take advantage of this exclusive offer from our show. There's a reason why Omaha Steaks has been the leader of gourmet steaks and food since 1917. No one, and I mean no one, comes close to matching the flavor, tenderness, and value of Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com. Use promo code DAWGS, DAWGS, at checkout. Get that extra $30 off your order today. Minimum order may be required. And we're back.
Oh.
Cool. Hopefully you guys are all still here. Hopefully you guys use all our codes. I got a mouth to feed. No, I'm just playing. No, I'm just playing. So now we're going to talk about some Brown specific stuff. So hopefully you guys stuck around if you're Browns fans, Eagles fan if you're still here and you want to learn about the Browns.
Well, it's going to
You
suck.
came to the right place. So I pulled up a list of free agents that were on the Browns team, and I would just kind of want to go through the list and get you guys input on who you think we should bring back and who you don't think we should bring back. Okay. The list is broken down into key contributors, quality depth, and then, to be honest, there was rounding out the roster. I'm not even going to go to them because I didn't even know these guys were on the team.
One of those guys just got cut today, I believe.
Okay, so we'll just do the first two categories. Okay, so starting off on the key contributors, should we bring them back? Should we not bring them back? Defensive end, Jadeveon Clowney.
See ya.
Yeah, he's not coming back.
Nope.
He's not. Yeah.
Not going to come back.
Which sucks that he did what he did, because I feel like in the Jim Schwartz defense, he could be very good.
I think he should have just been a little more patient and let this play out.
And just be a freaking grown up.
Exactly.
He screwed himself. And it's not like there's a super high market for Jadeveon Clowney.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, he screwed himself with the Browns, but even making those comments make him less attractive to another team. And he wasn't a highly sought after free agent.
No, there was
anyway.
2 years in a row that nobody wanted him. Even coming into this year, after having a pretty good year with the Browns, nobody wanted him.
Right.
So I don't know. That guy,
he's going to take a pay cut.
He's
going to take a pay cut to play somewhere.
A big time pay cut.
Yeah.
Running back Kareem Hunt.
I just don't see
I
it.
mean, you'd love to see him back, but he's not going to
Yeah.
be. We didn't use him this year anyway.
Right.
No. And I'll be sad to see him go. I loved him in Cleveland, but it's a thing. We don't need to have that anymore.
No, it's time.
And and to be honest, I don't know if it was his low usage or what, but there were times where he was on the field this year that I was just not that impressed.
Yeah.
Like we used to think of Chubb and Kareem Hunt as almost like 1A, 1B.
Yep.
And now, I mean, I feel like there was a noticeable gap between Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt this year.
Yeah, I
Very
agree.
noticeable.
Yep.
What about linebacker Anthony Walker?
I'd like to see him back.
Yeah.
I think you could bring him back, especially coming off the injury. I think you could bring him back at a pretty good price.
I would say, I mean, once we lost him, the defense got even worse, like by a lot. You know what I mean? Like he's a great communicator. He's a tackling machine. He might not be an all-world linebacker or anything like that, but he's a very solid pro. The kind of guy that you put around, you put like great pieces around him, and he's going to play good, and he's going to help kind of be like the glue for your defense.
Mm-hmm.
So I would definitely bring him back on like a team friendly, do another 1-year deal, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Center Ethan Posick.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd bring him
need
back
it.
because you know what you got. You know that he fits with the line. You know his production is there. You know, when you take a gamble on somebody else coming in to play center, which is such an important position on the line.
Right. We kind of did that already
last
year.
Yeah, we gambled last year and we won. So if we can get him back, let's just keep winning that gamble.
And I guess it's how confident are you in Nick Harris? Like,
True.
For me personally, just as a fan, from what I've seen, not that confident. And that was what, 2 plays, 1 play. So, I'm not saying that he can't do it. It's just, I saw a guy prove himself that the offense was completely different when he wasn't in.
It was almost like the Wyatt Teller effect the year before.
Yeah.
Yes.
When Wyatt Teller wasn't in, you could tell. Once we lost Posick, I mean, we couldn't run the ball anymore. Chubb went from being on pace to lead the league in rushing to couldn't get 50 yards. So I think you got to bring him back. Linebacker Sione Takitaki.
Oh, man, I don't know. Just because I feel like we're so weak at linebacker.
Now he'll have to miss part of the season, I think, right?
For ACL tear, yeah.
I guess it depends on how his rehab's going, how the surgery went.
I think he's a guy you could get back on a 1-year deal.
Is he still on his rookie deal?
He's going to be a free agent, so yeah, he just came off his rookie deal. It's okay.
Well,
we all make some brain farts, but I think that you could get him back on like a 1-year prove it, coming off the injury, and then.
Oh, I don't think you'd have to pay a lot for him at all, and I think he was starting to play pretty well.
Yeah,
before the injury, so I would like to bring him back.
Some of these guys I really want to see under a good defensive coordinator.
Yes.
I always thought that Takitaki had talent. Like he could be
flashes.
Like he could be a pretty good linebacker, but I mean under Joe Woods, what are you going to get?
Linebacker Deion Jones. Defense got better once he started playing.
For sure.
It's nice to have a linebacker that actually had a little bit of size.
Yep.
Yeah. Hopefully, we add some skilled up front and some size up front so the linebackers can play a little bit more free. So maybe being undersized won't be quite as hurtful next year. But man, I think you saw a noticeable difference in the defense once we started getting some linebackers who had a little bit of meat on their bones.
Regland started to pop off the film whenever, toward the end of the year there.
And this guy was a Pro Bowler the year before we got him, right?
I believe so.
So he's got Pro Bowl ability, hopefully. I mean, if you can sign him to a team friendly deal, I'm not saying we give this guy like a 5-year, $200 million contract or anything, but I think he helped. What about DL Taven Bryan?
It sucks because it's so early on. Like if you had an idea of where they wanted to address, it's like, to me, I think that he's probably out. I think we either address it during free agency or through the draft. And if you honestly wasn't impressive anyway.
If you address it in free agency, I mean, that's the kind of guy you're looking at for as far as depth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So bring him back, bring somebody else in who might be able to step up, play a little better. I wasn't impressed with him either.
Right.
No, at one point, him and Jordan Elliott and Tagai were like the 2 lowest ranked defensive tackles by PFF, and Taven Bryan was down there with them, just not last. You know, so no, he was not good at by far the weakest position group on our team, in my opinion. He's a guy, he's like a practice squad player.
That first round pick, like 3-4 years ago.
I was not impressed with that. So now you got they got this separated by quality depth. Quarterback Jacoby Brissett.
He's getting a starting gig somewhere, I think.
I would think so, right? I think that he played well enough to probably at least get some money.
Everybody says so. Everybody says that he played well enough to get a starting job. Where?
It's one of those things where I would look at the team like we talked, like the Jets. If they're not able to land, an Aaron Rodgers or Derek Carr, and they're like faced with, are we doing Mike White or Zach Wilson? Well, let's bring in Jacoby Brissett.
I think he would be I don't even know. I mean, I guess he'd be an upgrade for sure over Zach Wilson and Flacco.
Is he an upgrade over Mike White though?
I don't know. But then don't you feel like that's just like, and I don't want to slight Jacoby Brissett, but I feel like that would be like such a underachieving kind of sign. You know what I mean? Like when they're talking about throwing their name in there with like Rodgers and Carr, and then you end up getting Jacoby Brissett. And I'm not. I feel like I'm talking shit, but
no. I feel the same way in terms of I'm super appreciative of what Jacoby did for the team. He took it. He signed knowing what his role would be.
Correct.
He did it willingly, graciously. He played better than we ever could have imagined he would play.
Correct.
Okay, and he was a great teammate. That being said, he doesn't change the meter for any team. We've been talking about how the Jets are just a quarterback away from being a playoff team. If you add Jacoby Brissett, does he move them to playoff team? Probably not. I think he played the absolute best he could play, and I'm not taking anything away from Jacoby Brissett, but I think that's a testament to Kevin Stefanski.
So if he gets a starting gig, is this something like, look at the NFC South, like he could go to, the Bucs if they decide to rebuild and be a bridge for the next guy, or he could bridge in New Orleans or something like that.
I don't know. I just heard a lot of people, especially Browns fans, talk about how he played himself into a job, and maybe he did, but I don't think so.
It depends on the situation. And then you have to see what teams do in the draft. Like if the Raiders don't take a quarterback, are you rolling Jarrett Stidham out there for an entire season?
Threw for 300 plus against the Niners.
Oh man, I don't know, dog.
I just think it's funny that he's in the quality depth category, not the key contributors, considering he was our starting quarterback for most of the year.
So we'll move on here. Cornerback Greedy Williams.
This kind of hurts.
It does hurt, but I think me personally, we're set at corner right now.
I just think there's a log jam, and I like Greedy as like a person player. I just like him as a guy, but he's missed so much time that he almost became the odd man out. The only thing that scares me is I do think he's talented, and if he almost like a Buster Screen. We got Buster Screen left and then went on to be like a pretty solid pro, different position, but I just don't know like where would we play him. The only problem is all of our corners get hurt. The only one who stays healthy is Martin Emerson, knock on wood. You know what I mean? So like, do we want to lose Newsome and have to bring in somebody out the practice squad, or do we want to be able to bring in Greedy Williams? But I just don't know if there's money.
Well, and that's the thing. Does Greedy want to be the third or fourth rotational piece in the cornerback? Does he want to be?
I don't know if he has a choice.
Yeah, just based on his whole career, just what you've gotten, I don't think that you can put him over any of those other three.
I also just don't think you can have too many. Here's the thing: I think if we let him hit the free agent market, it's going to be cold at best for him. So we might say go ahead and test the market, and then he might come crawling back to us. You know what I mean? And then I could see us potentially signing him to a team-friendly depth deal. If we can get him back on a cheap deal, maybe even only a year or so, then I would do it because I do like him as a player. I like him just as a person in general. I think he's got like a good attitude and everything. And I like how hard he plays hard. So
he's another one of those guys under a different coordinator too, might show you more than what you've seen.
And the guy was considered the steal of the draft a couple of years ago. So I don't want to, if he can get out of this injury problem, let's see what he's got. Chris Hubbard.
I feel like he's been here forever.
I guess it depends on.
My problem is he seems to never. We need him to be a backup swing lineman, and he seems to never be available when we need him.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like, oh, we're going to this person because our starter's hurt and Chris Hubbard's hurt. Like, well, how's Chris Hubbard hurt?
Yeah,
you know what I
See
mean?
him play.
Yeah. So if I think you can find another swing tackle or something somewhere,
Yeah.
Ronnie Harrison. This is a guy who I would have swore would still be on the team, but I don't think you need to bring him back when we got a guy like D'Anthony Bell.
Okay. Yep.
I agree. I think it's time to move on from Ronnie Harrison.
For 100%. Dearness Johnson.
I mean, love to have him back. Obviously, he's one of our guys, like dog pound dog. We love Dearness, but I don't think he comes back.
I guess it depends. You know what I mean? Because then you're talking, are you trusting Felton to be a running back?
What, to be the third?
To be your third? Even then, I don't even know if Dearness Johnson would be the third. I mean,
I would go out on Jerome Ford's got to be the second this year, you would think.
You would think so. You would think. I mean, that's the thing, I guess, like how much depth do you want at running back? You know what I mean?
Here's the thing. I think, we've let him test the market and nobody's picked him up. So if we can continue to bring him back, you're going to need a kick returner if Ford's going to be your number 2 back, and he's done the kick returning duties before and stuff like that. So, I'm not making him a top priority, but you let him go out there and test the market and he doesn't get picked up again and you can pay him whatever the league minimum is again for a year, Yeah,
well, I'm saying if you can get him back on a cheap deal and he signs it, I'm not going to complain about it. I don't think he'll be back.
That's fair.
Let's see here. We have Chase Winovich.
I mean, whenever he came in toward the end of the year there, he was showing up a little bit.
I was excited about that signing, and then he was just hurt, but I thought he played well once he got back healthy.
I think as far as our D line goes, I think we could use him as depth. I mean,
we need depth.
We need it on the edge. I mean,
right now we don't have an edge rusher.
No. I mean, Alex right, but I think bringing back Winovich, he's a vet.
Do another 1-year deal.
Yeah. Yep.
Froholt. I won't even try to say his first name.
Some of these O-line depth pieces, like we can get some different depth. I think
he was not very good.
I wasn't impressed with.
Maybe playing out of position, but so these are restricted free agents. Michael Dunn. This is a guy I would maybe consider keeping.
Yeah.
He's been around. He's comfortable in the system, and you still got to have some offensive line depth. And I feel like he can play multiple positions. So I would bring him back. What about AJ Green?
I've always liked AJ Green.
Me too.
As a depth corner, I think that, if guys are out or, you're in a pinch, you can throw him in there, and he usually holds it down pretty well.
He's a big body corner.
He is, yeah.
So I like that also. And then the last two on this list are tight end Pharaoh Brown and tight end Jesse James.
Did they even play this year?
Pharaoh Brown played.
But Jesse James, I don't think, did he?
I don't know. If I'm picking one of these two, I'm bringing back Pharaoh Brown.
Sure.
He's like a Dave in the mold of David Njoku, obviously not as big or strong or fast, but he's like that receiving option. Jesse James, he didn't do much.
No.
So
we need help at tight end.
Yes. I wouldn't be surprised if we drafted one.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
My only problem with drafting one is we're seeing like rookie tight ends. I mean, Harrison Bryant was technically the best tight end in the country in college football, and he still hasn't like taken that next step. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's been a little bit of QB turbulence in Cleveland since he's came into the league, but no, we need tight end help bad. I would like to find another one that he's got to be able to block. Because when Njoku comes out, not only does it hurt the pass game, but he's turned into a very good run blocking tight end, and he's kind of pivotal in the run game. Just like we noticed when Posick was out, the games where Njoku didn't play, you notice that the run game was not nearly as strong.
Yeah.
So those are some free agents. We're gonna get into this ESPN list about where the teams were ranked and stuff like that, heading into next year roster wise. But we're running out of time, and I feel like that conversation we would start with the Browns and start kind of like branching off into all kinds of teams.
Yeah.
And we have a long off season to go. So I think I'm going to save that article for maybe next week or an upcoming week for an episode. So we'll go ahead and wrap this thing up. I want to thank you guys for being here for the live episode. We appreciate all the comments and the interaction in the comment section. It makes it more fun for us. We're going to continue to keep doing lives throughout the off season. I think it's kind of a nice change for us. It's a nice change for you guys. We appreciate you guys being here. If you want an extra episode, remember, check us out at jointhedogs.com to become a dog pack member. There's a lot of dog pack members in the chat right now. They're devoted, they're loyal, they love the Browns, and they're just fun people to hang out with. So if you want to meet those guys / gals, you want to talk to Browns fans all year round, you want some bad betting advice, just lots of fun stuff. Check that out. And we're going to continue to bring you guys episodes throughout the off season. We'll find ways to keep it interesting. So we appreciate you guys being here, and we'll see you guys next week.